Hi everybody, welcome back to day 5 of this Advent Calendar series. I have the Pink and Main and the Tailored Expressions Advent Calendars, and we are going to go ahead and jump right in here and open our day 5 envelopes, and we'll start again with Pink and Main. And we're just going to rip right through there, and oh, it is a stencil. And it just looks like little, I don't know if those are supposed to be flowers or what those are, but that's very interesting. I love stencils. You get so much bang for your buck when you purchase them. I'm going to set that there, and then we're going to go right ahead and open day 5 of our Tailored Expressions. And this is Liquid Watercolor Shimmer. So you can see it's got the mica powder here that has settled, so that's going to have to be shook up and incorporated in there. Designed to add translucent shimmer to any color when combined with our liquid watercolors. Okay, so this is like a watercolor additive. That is really interesting. And I have a bunch of panels. I actually have a bunch of panels stamped out in my potential craft-a-lanch here. Because I have been watercoloring panels for Christmas cards. So let's do some watercolor. Now I do have I don't have any liquid watercolors like in bottles, but I do have some in pens. So hang on just a second and let me grab them. I have, oh, and let me move this big old box out of the way. There we go. So I have these Altenew brush markers, And let's just pick out a darker green. I'll tell you, let's do this moss for the, nope. Let's do the emerald for these leaves. What else do I have? What other colors? This one is sweet leaf. That might be a little too bright of a green. So let's just squeeze some of this out. And add just a drop. Let's in, oh, I think I see the, there we go. The mica powder was stopping up the end of the little dropper. I put 4 drops. That might be overkill. Let me grab some water and a small paintbrush. I did fill up my bottle today before I started. So I've been doing a lot of watercoloring, and I've just been using this. As a palette, as my reservoir. Wow, that is sparkly. Like really sparkly. And this is awfully bright. This green. So I might mix this with a little bit of a darker color. Also, let me see here. I'd like to lighten this up just a little bit. And let's grab this moss green. I'm going to put a couple of drops and see what that does. What is it? Somebody's feeling his oats over there. So let's see what we have here. Wow, that stuff really adds sparkle. Probably like 1 or 2 drops would have done. But you know, that's okay because I like sparklies. So let me know in the comments if any of you have purchased an advent calendar. Which one? Do you like it? Oops. Is it, you know, what you expected? Are you pleased with it? So far, I like these. I have been quite pleased with these products. And I imagine, this says add it to their liquid watercolors, but I imagine you could, as long as you can mix, like I have the watercolor in the tube, so I'm sure you could use this with that too. I'm not sure how it would work with your pans, but I imagine if you can get some mixed on a palette that you could use it. Trying not to get these leaves too terribly dark. This is looking quite pretty. This I stamped with VersaFine Clair, the black is there's Obsidian Nocturne, I think maybe. Oh, no I didn't, I take that back. I have been using the Altenew black pigment ink. And I like them both. But I actually have been enjoying this Altenew. I think this one is Obsidian. I tend to go back and forth. I don't know why. But I have not used the VersaFine Clair as often since I got this Altenew. And you know, I have found that you can get recommendations from people, but a lot of these art supplies, it's really just personal preference. What works for somebody else may not work for you. But I find, like these two inks, I find them to be really comparable in the way they work. Now, can you see the shine on that? Because it is really glittery. There. See that? That is super, super shimmery. And of course, I'm doing this whole thing using what is this stuff called? Just liquid watercolor shimmer. Can you see how pretty that looks in the bottle? It's kind of hard with the lights. And if I turn the lights down too much, it's so dark you can't see it anyway. But you could just choose to like paint the berries red and just use the shimmer on the berries. This stamp is from Sweet Miss Daisy Designs. I really like it. And it's similar to one that I purchased from Anthony's, but he sadly has gone out of business. And I had just found his shop online too. Through a couple of content creators that I watch. So I'm trying to spread that color out a little bit because I got it a little dark there. This is a great way if you are, like some of my friends, sort of glitter averse. This is a good way to get that glittery goodness without the hassle of having glitter on every single solitary thing in your house. All right, oh, nope, I got one more leaf up here. And then we will do the berries. And you might be able to, hey, get out of there. No, do not drink that water. Disobedient child. You might be able, as I started to say before I was so rudely interrupted, be able to do this with your re-inkers. I am not sure. See, that's a lot of color there. That was only a few drops of each of those, and I have planning to do more panels. Let me wipe this brush off. And let's do some red berries. Let me get these put back in here. We have, I think that's more of an orangey color there. Let's do crimson. And this time, let me shake this up. We'll do one drop. Well, actually two came out, but now stay out of there. And don't put your paw in it either. Somebody's over here off camera sniffing at this watercolor stuff here. Don't you get in there. Uh-oh, that's bleeding out. Don't want it to do that. Well, it did it anyway. So I need to be a little more careful. Stop! I'm trying to put his paw in the red watercolor. You're a horrible cat. Horrible. So who has cats and who has dogs and who has both? We had a little Chewini, and she and my cat Sammy just loved to play together. And then she died, and we had another yellow cat who gosh, passed away within just a couple of months of each other. And then Sammy was so lonely after that. It was terrible. So Kiki showed up at the library and kept following the patrons inside, and the staff would put her outside. And our assistant director found out, so she went and got her and brought her in her office, and I ended up adopting her. And I don't know if on Instagram and Facebook you see those posts about my husband and the cat he didn't want. Well, that's my husband and Kiki. He didn't really want to get her, and now she's his princess. He calls her Princess and Pumpkin. And she'll get in his lap in there when he's watching TV. And of course, then he won't get up and disturb her. It's just hilarious. Okay, I'm not too happy about that. So I'm gonna see if I can maybe bleach out some of this color that bled out. I don't know if I can. I might just try to pull it out. I just got too much on. Too much on my brush. And boy, it just really bled out around that berry. Sometimes you can just put a little more water there and it will take out some of that color, but that's not wanting to lift out. And a little bit of that red got into the blue here, so we are just going to sort of randomly put some of that around. She says as she messes it up again. So that is just, let me hold this up and see if, yeah, you can kind of see that shimmer in there. It is very shiny. You know, these things really just don't show up as much on camera. So I'll be right back. I'm going to take this out of here before and I'm probably just going to let this dry in here, and I will use it again because I have some other panels stamped out already. I will be right back. I'm just going to get rid of this water. And you might hear my dryer running. Okay. Okay, so I'll wipe this out. And I'm just going to let that dry in there so that I can use it again. And let me dry this panel just a little bit. And I'm going to mute this if I can. Nope. It does not want to mute, so. Sorry, I'm trying to hold it away from the mic so it doesn't blast you out of the room. Wow, that has some real shine on it. Once again, I'm going to hold it up here. Just don't know that it shows up on camera, but believe me, it is glittery. And let's cut this down, and I'm going to grab out a card base. This is kind of warped now, so I'm going to try to keep it pretty straight here. Oh, you know, I need to color this brown too. Durr. And I'm just going to take most of this off the top and just a little sliver off the bottom. There we go. I'm going to put shine on that stem. And I have this brown here. Hang on just a second. Knock back a little bit of that brown. Okay. Wipe that off, and this is kind of warped, so I am going to put some double-sided tape on there. And I have to grab that and a card base. I've got to make more card bases too. I'm about to run out. And this tape here is just some I got off Amazon. It works really, really well. Most of these double-sided tapes are pretty unforgiving when you are putting them down. So, instead of trying to pull that off, I just need to use this thing. That's what I have it for. Oh, let me burnish this really quick. So, I'm going to put liquid glue on here as well. See, it's sticking in my finger. So let's put a little liquid glue on here. We really want this to stick down good. Okay, and I have a bunch of sentiments still on my desk. And they'll probably be here until after Christmas. So let's see. And I don't even remember where these came from. I just don't. So if you recognize them. Oh, I'm going to use this Christmas Blessings. I would cover up that boo-boo, but I really don't like it there. I think that looks weird. We're going to put this down here towards the bottom. And 1 second, I'm going to knock that white back a little bit if I can. It's so in your face. No, that's not right. Oh, no wonder. I had to get the right blending brush out. We're just going to put just a tiny bit of blue on the edge here. And then we're going to put some more. still a little too stark white for me. There, and that just sort of keeps it from being so in your face. And then we're going to put some foam tape on. I have this, good grief, I have this piece. I'm going to put a little dot of glue here. And we are going to, excuse me if I stick my head over in the way. Put that down there. And let's grab gems again. And see what we have to put on here. I have these sparkly red, but I also have these. And I also have these. These with the mirror backing are super shiny. So let's see. I kind of wish I had I need a bigger one. I wish I had a big one to cover that up. So decisions. So now I'm not even sure that I want to do. Come on, turn over. I'm not even sure I want to do these gems. They're not going to be matchy enough for those berries. I do have green ones. I have those pale ones. I don't think that's going to look right. I have these darker ones. I also have these, which are green and blue. Come on. Let me grab, instead of struggling. Let's grab our supplies and use them like we are supposed to. I'm not especially jazzed about that either. Look, that's not big enough to cover that berry up either. Better. Let's see. That's not too bad. I do also have these clear sparkly ones. Those are pretty, but they still don't look quite right, and I think they take away from the shimmer. So I think those green ones work pretty well. Come on, I have that container too full. So we are going to go with these green. I have so many gems and sequins and enamel dots. It's not even funny. It's sort of embarrassing, but then again, not. We need all these things, right? Gotta have it. There. I like that. And just like that, we have a card. Again. So there it is. Really pretty. Lots of shimmer and shine to this. And it's just clean and simple, which is pretty much what I always gravitate towards. And I guess that's why I don't do a lot of interactive cards. Because they take so much time to do, and usually my crafting time is somewhat limited. But yeah, this is great. So I am going to put it back in the box for now, because I like to keep all my envelopes together until the end. And I'm kind of tempted to not to make a card, but just to stencil this onto a card panel so we can see what it looks like. If I can get it out of the plastic. Ooh, it's not going back in there. And I'm assuming they have those little, I think they have like a little stencil notebook. But one thing you would have to cover those up, right? So let's get, I'm not even going to get out my sticky mat because so much trouble. Just for one little panel here. So I tell you, my go-to, oh, I can't use that. My go-to color is blue. So I think I'm going to switch this up, and we are going to use, what do I have here? Prom Queen. Yes, we are going to use Prom Queen for that. Let me grab my brush. So that exactly fits on here, but surely they don't expect you to stencil over those little marks there. I mean, those little holes. Or does this go, I wonder if this goes on one of those special stencil, I think I've seen it before, that stencil tool where it has things, little pegs that you hang the stencil on. Let me get more in the center here. And we're just going to do this quick. It's not, well, I say that, but then I can't stand it. Got to tape it down. Okay, there we go. My brain just would not let me continue. I don't know how I like this stencil. It's just too, it wants to come up. I guess if I cut this card front down to 4 by 5 1/4, it might work better, but it's sort of, it's wanting to to twist around on the page. And sort of bow up as I'm blending. See, I'm sure you can see it moving. Maybe not on camera, but yeah, it's being annoying. And also, when it moves around like that, you don't get a good crisp image. So if any of you have opened your advent calendar and have this, let me know what you think. And let's reveal. Well, it's quite pretty. Let me cut it down and see what we have, since I had to hide those big holes. Yeah, so if I cut this down, this is going to have to be at least 3 3/4. Yeah, I think this is going to have to be like a 3 3/4 by 5-inch panel. Yeah, that's cut down to 3 3/4 by 5, and you can see there's still a tiny bit of border on each side. Here, there. It will work, but it has to be 3 3/4 by 5 instead of 5 1/4 by 4. So I'm going to keep this. I'm going to put it in the envelope with the stencil, and we might get a chance to pull this out and use it on a card. So thank you again for hanging out with me for another day of Advent calendaring, and I will hopefully see you all again for day 6. Bye-bye.